بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The day of judgment has been described to us in such vivid detail in the Quran, and it has so many names where each name conveys something different, a different aspect about the terrors of this day. We know that it is called Al-Qari'ah, the day that shall wring the hearts of people. It is Al-Haqqah, it is Yawm Al-Taghabun, it is Yawm Al-Tanad, it is Al-Faza'u Al-Akbar, the greatest terror. And the descriptions are numerous in the Quran, telling us about different snapshots about what will actually happen on that day. But regardless of how scary that day is, the day of judgment is a reality that none of us can escape from. All of us, young and old, will have to go through this day. And the ultimate event on the day of judgment is the hisab itself, the courtroom. The courtroom where you shall enter. Allah Azza wa Jal is the judge. You are the person who is being persecuted, and your a'mal shall be presented in front of you, and you shall be taken into account for your deeds before your final destination is determined. Now, one of the Surah Ibrahim, the one that we just recited today, Surah Ibrahim comes at a time in Mecca where the Muslims were suffering under the persecution of the Quraysh. They were suffering under their mockery, their harm, their killing, their boycotting, and their harms in all shapes and form. And you see, the Quraysh would always use the excuse that our ancestors did not believe in whatever you guys believe in, and therefore we shall continue to believe in whatever our forefathers believe in. That was their excuse primarily for not believing. And they thought that we can get away with it. But Allah Azza wa Jal reminds them in the Quran, and this is an important lesson for myself and especially for the youth of this today. Today you have no excuse to say that you did not know. You knew, and you had the resources to know as well. You had everything, every evidence presented in front of you. The message was delivered to you loud and clear. And this is why even in Surah Ibrahim, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ. We've sent numerous prophets. Every prophet is among his own nation. He's not just a foreign person. No, he's a member from his own nation. He speaks their own language. From the days of Ibrahim alayhi salam, we know that he has been making dua. رَبِّ اجْعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي. That he's been making dua not just for himself and his family, but for his dhurriyyah as well. That, Ya Allah, don't misguide the generations that come after me. When you put all of this together, and you look at the misguidance that we see outside, what do we learn from this? Because surely one of the two is wrong. Either the Quran is wrong or the people outside are wrong. And the Quran cannot possibly be wrong. Therefore, it is very clear, misguidance is an option that people willingly choose. And Allah Azza wa Jal reminds us in the surah of the realities that every single person shall face. For the people who think that they shall be able to get out of the day of judgment, they can wiggle their way out of the day of judgment with their excuses. Maybe today you can play a trick on your parents. Maybe you can play a trick on your teachers. You can play a trick on your boss for why not to show up to work on time, for why not to show up to school, for why not to do this or that. But on the day of judgment, Allah Azza wa Jalla, and today is just one verse that I want to share with you. Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to bring, or rather, He's not going to bring him, He's going to be there already. The greatest deceiver to ever exist, the shaitan himself, shall come. And he shall give a speech in front of all of humanity. وَقَالَ الشَّيْطَانُ لَمَّا قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ. This is when the hisab has been done. The people of Jannah has been decided that they will be entering Jannah. The people of Jahannam have been decided that they shall enter Jahannam. And people are arguing and probably begging in front of Allah that, Ya Allah, this is not fair. Ya Allah, I don't think I deserve an eternal punishment, right? How come just some sins that I did, or how come, a temporary life that I lived is equal to an eternal punishment? This is one of the arguments that sometimes today is presented to us. Like, how is your God fair, right? That how come that a person who denies Allah for 50, 60, 70 years is subject to an eternal punishment? Like, how is this fair? Well, it's very simple to understand, my brothers and sisters. It's not that crazy, okay? Today, if someone, under the laws of our own country here, were to commit a murder, were to commit a first-degree murder in cold blood, what do they do in court? They sentence him life sentence. They sentence him 200, 300 years in prison. They know he's not going to live 200, 300 years, but that's how severe his crime was. And the crime is kufr. Of kufr is the most severe crime out there. So the shaitan shall be brought. He shall come on the day of judgment after the final decision has been made to everybody. And he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَعَدَكُمْ وَعْدَ الْحَقِّ. And subhanAllah, is such an astonishing speech. Because shaitan here, he's coming, he's not even trying to twist his words. He's coming and he's saying, guys, it was all me. It was all, I am the one who got you on this path. لَمَّا قُضِيَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَعَدَكُمْ وَعْدَ الْحَقِّ. Allah promised you. The promise of Allah was true. He says, this is shaitan. But I also promised you, وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ. And I also promised you. You chose to listen to my promise. You didn't listen to the promise of Allah. وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ. I had no power over you. SubhanAllah, just earlier today we were discussing the soul, the active soul, and the concept of the soul. And we were explaining how the heart, the qalb, we were explaining the qalb in a nutshell. And we said basically the qalb is like a receiver. You know the receiver that you have for your TV. It's like a receiver. It receives different signals, but the qalb itself does not actually do any action in itself. It is the person who is attached to this qalb who chooses what to do with the information. So shaitan sent you a signal and it was received by your receiver. And he told you, he promised you all of these beautiful promises. He told you if you were to sin, you will really going to enjoy it. You can do istighfar after your sin. There's no problem, ya akhi. Just do it once. You won't regret it. What's the point, man? Don't miss out, right? He comes to you in different angles, okay? If you're already in the middle of a sin, he comes to you, he tells you, ya akhi, you're already in the middle of your sin. Just go all the way to the end. Why stop from now? So he comes to you from all these different angles just to deceive you. And again, we've mentioned it tons of times already. It's barely been a third of Ramadan. We've already mentioned tons of times the dangers of shaitan. Because shaitan is a serious enemy. He's a real enemy. He exists. He is out there. And he's intelligent. He's got years and decades of experience, thousands of years of experience. He knows when he wants to sway mankind, he knows how to deceive mankind. He knows all the tricks. He knows how to press all of your buttons, whoever you are. So shaitan says, look, all I did was offer you. I whispered to you. I gave you something. But I didn't have any power over you. All I did, إِلَّا أَن دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي. All I did is I gave you the invite letter. You were the one who did the action of accepting. You were the one who actually committed the crime. And so then shaitan says something that blows your mind. فَلَا تَلُومُونِي وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Don't blame me. Shaitan, the worst creation ever, the deceiver, the big deceiver, shall come and tell you, it wasn't me, it was you. Don't blame me. Don't say shaitan made me do it. Don't say it was him who misguided me. No. It was not the shaitan. It was you who chose misguidance willingly. You knew very well what was right and what is wrong. You know, Islam is not rocket science, my friends. You know, sometimes the youth, they like to make the excuse of, oh, I'm not, I didn't learn Quran. I don't understand Quran. Come on, man. Come on. Let's be real here. You know what is right versus what is wrong. You know that when you, for example, when you use vulgarity in your language, you know what you're doing is something wrong. You don't need rocket science. You don't need the Sharia degree for you to understand what you're doing is something wrong. But yet you willingly chose it, knowing fully what exactly you are doing. So Shaitan will say, don't blame me, it's your fault. And the reason why it's so powerful to pause here is because in this world, we like to blame everyone but ourselves. And that is a sad reality of humanity. We like to put the blame on everyone else. The whole world is at fault. It wasn't my fault that I ended at this. It was my parents, the way that they raised me. If they didn't raise me that way, if they didn't take me to this country, if they didn't do this and that, then surely I would have been guided, but it was their fault. It wasn't my fault, it was the fault of society. It's not my fault that I was born in a society that is a majority non-Muslim. It's not my fault, it's everybody else's fault instead. La ilaha illallah. So the same way, by the way, this shaitan will come and will say, it was your fault, not mine. The same way, also every other shaitan will come on the day of judgment and will say the same thing. Whether that shaitan is the actual shaitan, the whisperer, the jinn, the evil jinn, or whether it is a human being. Whether it is that friend that you chose to follow who misguided you, guess what? Your boy, your buddy, your best friend, he's going to be your worst enemy. And he's going to say, look, this guy, I don't even know him. I have nothing to do with him. It was him who misguided. I got nothing to do with it. It was him. He's going to be worse. He's going to testify against you. Whether it is your closest friend, or whether it was some sort of, relative who is not upon Islam, or whether it's someone else, any individual out there that you try to pin the blame on, you're in the day of judgment, my friend. On the day of judgment, there is nothing that is hidden. You cannot cheat your way through the system the same way you do here. Your words will not have any meanings, because everything is presented in front of you. The whole world is witnessing. The earth is witnessing. The angels are witnessing. The mankind are witnessing. Everything is witnessing. Your deeds, your words, your exact actions are recorded in great detail in the book of deeds that you shall receive. So what will you have to say in front of Allah? مَا أَنَا بِمُصْرِخِكُمْ وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُصْرِخِي. And Iblis says, you guys won't be able to save me. And also, I won't be able to save you. He's just giving us to us as it is. إِنِّي كَفَرْتُ بِمَا أَشْرَكْتُمُونِ مِنْ قَبْلِ. I've got nothing to do with all of this evil that you guys committed in this world. All of this evil that you spread. All of this corruption. All of this killing. All of this kufr. All of this whatever. I don't agree with it. You chose to do it, but I know. And subhanAllah, Iblis is such an interesting character to study. Because Iblis, we know from the story of Adam, he knows Allah. He spoke with Allah. He's seen the angels with his own two eyes. He knows that there's a day of judgment. He asked Allah, oh Allah, let me live until the day of judgment. He believes in all of the pillars of Iman today. The 6 pillars of Iman, believing in Allah and in the books and in the day of judgment and the prophets and all of the pillars of Iman. Iblis believes in all of them. That's what makes him such an interesting character. But just the fact that he knows the information in his head does not make him a believer, because he chose arrogance and he chose rejection. إِنِّي كَفَرْتُ بِمَا أَشْرَكْتُمُونِ قَبْلِ. And then he says, إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهِ. La ilaha illa. Iblis himself is telling you, إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهِ. What more do you want than this? Wallahu shadidul iqab. So my brothers and sisters, the message here is very, very clear. There is no secret message hidden in between. And what's more amazing is Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling you right now that this is going to happen, so that you're not surprised on the day of judgment. So who in his right mind would hear such a speech, who knows that this is something that will happen on the day of judgment, yet willingly chooses to deviate from the path of guidance, will still willingly choose misguidance, willingly choose to miss their prayers, willingly choose to not fast, willingly choose to disobey their parents, willingly choose all these paths of misguidance. Ya akhi, we know it's in our book, it's in our Quran. Iblis will say, I've got nothing to do with you. In another surah, he's going to say, رَبَّنَا مَا أَطْغَيْتُهُ وَلَكِنْ كَانَ فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. That Allah, I didn't do anything to him. It wasn't me who misguided him. He was already far away. He was already misguided. I didn't even have to do anything to him. So the message for today, my brothers and sisters, we're right now in the month of Ramadan. We're in the month where in an authentic hadith it comes to us, the shayateen right now are chained down. So how about all that evil that is still happening in our lives today? In our own individual personal lives? What does that tell you? This is your biggest sign right now in Ramadan. It was never the shaitan, my brothers. Don't blame the whisperings of shaitan. Blame your own self. Right now, these evil desires that you are getting to commit sin, to commit evil, to disobey Allah, that's not shaitan, my friend. Shaitan is not there right now. Shaitan is not around us. It's the angels right now around us. There's no shaitan. Shaitan is chained down somewhere. So it's your own nafs. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, discipline your nafs before it is too late. How do you discipline your nafs? Discipline it through the Quran. Quran is the cure for everything. Reconnect with the book of Allah. Reconnect with your purpose in life. Go back to the path of guidance. That's what the whole Ramadan is about. Repentance. It is not too late, my brothers and sisters. Don't wait until the day of judgment. Don't wait until you stand in front of your Creator, because at that point, it's not going to look good for you, my friend. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us from any form of misguidance. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us from the influence of shaitan and from the influence of any form of evil that is around us. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to keep us steadfast upon His path. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, wa qumu ila